Thank you everyone for joining this conversation to learn about how are we going to be measuring our impact for the NGO training initiative that we're leading as part of the Sustaining Member Program. Today, I am interviewing our Director of Operations and Strategic Project Manager, Ella Mudirian, who is the quarterback in the impact measurement area to talk about this project and really learn from her about how Venture to Impact approaching impact measurement and how will we know that we have been successful in training these NGOs and leading this specific program. So Ella, hello.
Hi, Fadi. Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome. So you are new-ish to V2I, just under a year, but it's been a year of us being grounded, no travel. And what that means is that some of our volunteer community and donors might have met you, but many of them haven't. So would you please start by introducing yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks again, Fadi. Ella Mudirian, and I am, as Fadi mentioned, the Director of Operations at Venture to Impact. I'm originally from Iran and came to Canada as an immigrant in 2006 and worked in engineering firms for about 12 years. And I carried an engineering degree and got my PMP and worked in different industries. And all along, there was this void of the reward to see the actual impact in human lives. And Venture to Impact gave me the opportunity to work hard to utilize the skills and experience that I have in order to make a meaningful impact in human lives. So I'm very grateful for that.
Awesome, Ella. Thanks for the intro. So the Sustaining Member Program allowed us to create the capacity internally to start the initiative of training NGOs around the globe who are servicing communities on the margin during this very, very difficult time of COVID-19. This is a new approach for Venture to Impact to create this kind of virtual programming to train and equip organizations and individuals. So could you talk to us a little bit about how did you approach impact measurement for this project?
Sure. As you mentioned, this is an innovative idea for Venture to Impact, first of all. So there had to be a new way of project mapping for the idea to do an end-to-end indicator management. Not just to evaluate the overall impact, but to evaluate the journey from the beginning to the end. So the project management system that we are taking for the majority of our project is a result-based management approach. And with that, we have to identify our major objectives, our outcomes, outputs, and our activities for getting us from point A to the impact. When we design that, we see that we have stakeholders that are helping us to achieve the impact. The stakeholders need to also know about the journey and the the monitoring and evaluation process, because our approach is transparency, and the lessons learned also have to be shared between all the stakeholders, as they are a very active part of the project from beginning to end. So with that approach, we as a team, we decided to start with the logical framework creation from inputs to outcomes, And also the monitoring and evaluation system takes the logical framework and identifies the indicators for each step of the way to be able to monitor against the indicators and evaluate at the end of each stage. So that has been the approach for this project as well.
So I mean, I'm just wondering here. I wonder if there's a framework that you can share with us. I wonder if there's a screen that I can pull up and it can show us all of these steps that you're talking about in a very clear way. Is there something like that?
Absolutely. So
amazing.
I have that here, and if you can, I'm sharing my screen right now, if you can see it. Do we have it now?
It's up.
Okay, perfect. So the framework that you see here is basically the logical framework to begin with. That means we have designed this project from inputs to outcomes. And in each stage of the map, you see the segments that will lead this project towards the outcome. So the inputs are the resources and the assets that we have on hand that made us think we need to gather all those resources and start this project because we have what it takes to do this. The outputs and activities are using the resources to our advantage and get us to start implementing, planning and implementing towards the outcomes. And with those, we have engaging with partners, engaging with our volunteers, and doing all of that in the specific time frame that we have. It means that we are evaluating a few different things here. Lots of our new partners, lots of our partners in NGOs are kind of new to us. So that means that we have to kind of like start evaluating our relationship and the connection with them to see what's the best way to reach them and have them, participate in identifying the gaps and what's the best way. So that was part of the evaluation as well. The other thing is that as in kind of like relatively new team, how you and I and Brianna are working together in achieving the results and what needs to be looked at there or improved there to have the best use of the resources that we have. And of course, how are we engaging our volunteers into helping us with the NGO training? Have we identified the skills? Have we identified the interest? And, how are we approaching them? And how are we utilizing their skills into having the best of outcome? So this is all part of the evaluation process. Then we're going to move to implementation phase. When we are doing the training and releasing the training material, the participation from the partners and from our volunteers are very important because this is a new, as you know, is innovative methodology to deliver our education material. We have not done this before. We have always been on the ground and the workshops were physical. Now we are doing this remotely. There is technology issues. There is, time zone problems. And how are we going to overcome all of that for the next project that we will have, how we can use the lessons learned towards improving this type of project in the future. When the implementation phase is over, we need to have surveys from different stakeholders because the approach that we're taking here is horizontal approach. It means that Brianna, as the volunteer engagement manager, is going to do the surveys with volunteers at the same time that I am doing that with the partners. We gather all of the survey results and we start evaluating what each and every stakeholder thought about the the training approach? Was the curriculum useful? Did the staff in NGOs benefit from it? Was it really high and advanced, or how we could do it better next time? And also after that, the lessons learned, the findings all need to be captured, and we go back to the stakeholders and we share the results of evaluation with them. And we also going to gather ideas of how to make this better. The suggestions will lead to the improvement for the next cycle that we are going to do training. So this is all good in theory, but nothing will happen if we don't actually conduct it and do it. Therefore, we need indicators. We have to have indicators to measure in context. So the indicators are very important. They need to be measurable, they need to be real, and they need to be achievable. So what we do is that we give each aspect that we want to evaluate a measurable indicator. That means when the approach of this project is to empower the staff and the management of NGOs to do fundraising, to do better fundraising, to be innovative about doing their fundraising and branding their organization, what is going to show us that we have been successful? So we have identified the measurable indicators for those. When staff participate in each session and the commitment is there, it means that we have done that part correctly, and staff have shown up, the volunteers have shown up for their mentoring sessions, the number of hours that the training has been implemented, they all will be measured and evaluated based on the indicators that we have set for those items. And as we move forward to the impact, which is the desired outcome of the project, is like how many partners have increased the knowledge of fundraising, and partners have increased the knowledge of positioning their organizations. And we have evaluated the stages that are completed. That means that we also monitor and evaluate the monitoring and evaluation process, because it's new for us. So at the end, I want to know if I've done this monitoring and evaluation system the way that it should have been. Have I really evaluated and monitored every step of the way that I said I would? That is also part of the monitoring and evaluation process of this specific project. So at the end, we know what we want as the outcome, and the desired outcome needs to be evaluated. That means that the desired outcome of this project, being NGOs are more knowledgeable and more knowledgeable towards doing fundraising and positioning themselves, is part of one of the intermediate outcomes of this project. And in long run, the practicality of the knowledge is what we're looking for, because the knowledge means nothing if you don't practice it. So then the outcome, the desired outcome at the end of the 6 months to 1 year would be when the NGOs put those trainings into practice, the result then needs to be evaluated. Then we will move to sustainability of the knowledge and skills. And we will see a year from the end of this project, have the NGOs continued to use the knowledge and the practice, and where have they gone with all of that. We will also evaluate that after a year. And this could be a cycle, and also could be a way forward. The cycle means that when we have the findings and when we have the improvement plan, we can go back to the very beginning of the future training project and start planning it based on the improvement items. We can also move forward with this project with the fundings and for the NGO training that we have towards the fundraising and positioning the NGOs for the future. We will also implement those monitoring and evaluation results.
Awesome. Thanks, Ella. Very thorough. Do you want to, I saw that you moved us to the evaluation plan. Do you want to go over that quickly now?
So what I described just before was the system, but now I want to just walk you through quickly about the scheduled for the evaluation plan. So we have decided that we will do the output internally. That means that we will look at our commitment to our own schedule and see how on time and how on time we have been reaching out to partners, recruiting volunteers, and designing the curriculum. Most importantly for this project will be the implementation phase that we will want to survey our stakeholder. Because this is kind of like a testing project as well, we have identified 3 phases for implementation evaluation. That means that the first week that we are releasing the first session, we will go back and survey both partners and volunteers. We want to make sure that the planning of the implementation has been somewhat okay to move forward. For example, if there is any emergency issue that brings us a huge obstacle of not moving forward to week 2, those need to be identified right away. So those type of things will happen in week 1. Then when the project is running with no obstacles to stop, midterm evaluation will be conducted, which will be in week 4, and that would be by week 4 there should be a sense of the NGO partners seeing the change. The staff should have somewhat shown some ideas or have talked about how this training is going and their perspective of what they're going to gain as far as the knowledge. Also the design and implementation, the time that we have scheduled for the mentor calls, all of that again will be evaluated midterm. And at the end of the implementation, which will be the end of the week 6, the final evaluation of implementation phase, which will be more detailed and broad, will be conducted again horizontally. Means that both partners and volunteers will be surveyed. V2I team will also evaluate their implementation planning internally to self-evaluate the implementation of the project. After that, the outcome of the project, which is the immediate outcome, is that the knowledge is passed and the knowledge is observed. That will be also evaluated right after the implementation phase, which will be November 23rd to 27th. So the volunteers are going to expect having surveys for that. And then again, the evaluation will be happening with the data going back to the stakeholder as a report. So you will know about the impact. That is when the all the work will pay off. You will know what this NGO training has done for the community. Whether or not it has been successful, should in the future we take the same approach, or do we need to be more innovative? Whatever that comes out of the evaluation as result will be shared and will be lessons learned for future. Same as the data analysis and survey for the long-term outcome at end of at the end of the year. When we will do the final evaluation, we will see the knowledge in practice. We will evaluate the progress of the fundraising, branding, marketing that the NGO partners have been put in practice. And again, we'll see how the impact is shown. We will gather the lessons learned, and we will share again throughout the stakeholder and the community. And it is lessons learned for everybody that we will capture. Also, we will look at the sustainability as a very important part of each result-based management. And we will evaluate to see how this knowledge and practice has been sustained throughout different NGOs. And if not, what can we do to make it better?
And that's not until summer 21 when we really try to look at 6 months from now, what happened? Has this information been adopted? And is it a part of the practice of the organization? Awesome, Ella. Well, thank you so much for walking us through this monitoring and evaluation framework. I think it's really helpful for our volunteers, our donors to hear from you about how is Venture to Impact thinking about measuring success for this program. As you've mentioned a couple of times, this is a new program for us entirely. Has there been any new learnings for us so far? I know we're only a month into it, but have we learned anything so far?
Absolutely. So from the beginning of the project, when we were evaluating each activity, we have lessons learned that we identified and recorded. For example, when we were doing the planning for the project, we thought we can have answers back from our partners within a week. The experience from this particular project showed us that next time we need to, give ourselves more time. It is not easy to reach out and have calls scheduled with different parts of the world when there are lots going on. Different things are going on for them. They are busy, the time zone and everything else. So that has been one of the very valuable lessons learned for particularly myself as a point of contact with the partners, to make sure next time we're planning this, I put exactly the amount of time I need for this one. So that is to give you a robust example. I would just mention that one. We are in the means of evaluating our planning phase, and I don't want to disclose any results yet because we haven't looked at the monitoring and the data yet. But as we go forward, the data will be available and the reports will be available for those as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Ella. I feel like I have a clearer picture since I've reviewed this report and this plan about how we're thinking about measuring impact for a sustaining member. What does the immediate term, the intermediate term, and the long term look like for us, and the importance of the work that we're doing through the NGO training and the sustaining member program overall. So thank you for helping us get some more information and walking our volunteers and donors through this. Is there anything else that you would like to add that I haven't asked you about?
Thanks, Fadi, for the for the opportunity, first of all. And the one thing that I would like to mention here is that the monitoring and evaluation system, when you look at it on paper, is very formal. Although the nature and the culture of V2I and its volunteers and partners allows us to receive feedback anytime if there is need to share feedback. That means that although we have a system to gather your opinion and your ideas, it doesn't mean that we have to feedback or improvement. We are, because sooner than later, that would be awesome. And your ideas as the to the impact sooner than later. So all I'm saying is that this is a formal system, but we are open to receive the feedback anytime from our volunteers and partners.
Awesome. Thank you, Ella. And I hope anyone that's listening to this presentation was able to learn a little bit more about how we are thinking about the sustaining member program and how we're committed to measuring impact and learning from this program for the future. So Ella, thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.